Thank you for joining me today for Rhythms Within, a guide to cyclical living. This is everything that I'm super passionate about, cyclical living, and sharing it with women and as many women as I can. This is all the experience that I've had from learning about menstrual cycles of mine own and all the women that I've worked with. So I hope it brings you a little bit more clarity, or it at least is the building connection for you with your menstrual cycle. Um, for the first thing that I'm making you do, I may want you to have a pen and paper. And if that's not accessible to you, then if you have
Oh,
your,
I have it handy.
great. So I'm going to get right into it. What we're looking at is, I want you to think of the first emotion that you feel when you think of your first menstrual cycle experience. And I want you to emote how you feel about that experience. So if you want, take a minute, close your eyes and think about that experience, that first menstrual cycle.
Don't need to close my eyes. I really remember very clearly getting it. And since I got my periods pretty late, so my mom made me visit like a gynec and all, which was very horrifying. But when I actually got my periods, it was a very happy moment for me that, I'm finally uh like I
Awesome.
finally got it and I'm like a woman now, because initially those days, the school used to teach you a little and internet not very much was accessible that time. But whatever I had learned about periods, all I could think the first time when I got it, the very first thought in my head was like, wow, like I got it finally, and I'm a woman now.
That is so sweet. That is such a
That's
sweet.
my happy moment.
Yeah, how nice. When I did this workshop on Sunday, I had everyone say these words. So I was the first one to say, I typed it in the chat and I said, my first experience of my menstrual cycle. And what I remember, the one emotion surrounding it was loneliness because I was alone. My mother was away on pilgrimage, so I had to manage that one alone. Three women said confused, one woman said horrified, and you're now the one person who's had a positive association to the first menstrual cycle experience. And I think that is lovely. um I love that your first menstrual cycle experience was lovely and that it was a positive one because it made you celebrate coming into womanhood. But I did want to say that if you have negative associations or an emotion associated to your menstrual cycle, first menstrual cycle experience, then I want you to take this moment and let it go. um a lot of times we find it hardest to forgive ourselves. We will forgive others um, in large numbers. Many will come and go, and we will forgive them. We might not keep them in our lives, but we'll forgive them. But the one person that we'll find it hardest to forgive is ourselves. And so, if you've had an experience that was negative leading up to your first menstrual cycle experience, then right now is the time to also let it go.
It's not the first, but yes, there was, I think, a year later, and I was traveling, and it was still my initial years. And I was traveling alone, first time without my parents and with my friends. I had gone through like a college trip. And I belong to a giant family. So back then, we used to not eat anything with root vegetables and all. The food that I had got, because I was the only giant in the whole lot of like 100 girls, and I did not eat because the food was really like tasteless and bad. And that night, I literally fainted in the bathroom because I was it's my cycle was going on. Plus, I didn't eat any food. Plus, I was in OT, so it was like like single digit temperature there. And I fainted in the bathroom. First time in my life, I fainted, and I like hit myself here, and it was really like that. That 4 days was worse, like worse. I've never had that bad experience with my periods, but that was the only thing, and I still clearly remember everything that 3 days I'd gone through.
I'm
So
so sorry.
that one thing was bad for me. But other than that, I've never, I mean, periods have never bothered me. Touch wood.
That would indeed, yes. I'm sorry to hear about that experience, but as we go on in the presentation, you might understand why you felt like that. You might be able to join dots, but I'll come back.
Okay.
One of the first things that I want to talk about is explaining the one thing that we have in common with men. Okay. In both men and women, certain hormones will rise and fall in a 24-hour cycle. They reset every day. And these hormones are responsible, or these hormones govern our sleep wake cycle. And this cycle, sorry about that, this cycle is known as the circadian rhythm. Okay. This is something that we share in common with men. But I think by now we can agree that both men and women are slightly different. But here's what is so interesting, and here's an image that we'll keep coming back to later. One of the things I want you to notice here is male hormone levels, which says daily rise and fall of testosterone. Look at that curve. Look at that pattern. It's the same.
Constant.
No change.
Yeah.
Constant. And the image right underneath is a woman's monthly ebb and flow of three different hormones. Okay. The orange line signifies estrogen. And right underneath it should be testosterone also. So estrogen and testosterone, they rise and fall in the same way. And the blue line, which is progesterone. There are three different hormones that are rising and falling. These three different hormones have an effect on our brain psychology, chemistry. They have an effect on our mood, and they have an effect on our physiology. Okay. But a little bit more in depth on that a little later. Right now, I want to continue about why men and women are different. So men's cycles are 24 hours. Okay. What is happening is, I want to give you the example of the Earth rotating on its own axis, which takes 24 hours to complete. A man's internal clock is governed by this 24-hour cycle, with high testosterone levels in the morning that gradually drop by nighttime, and they reset again the next day. This rhythm allows them to feel alert, active, ready to go, and perform at the same intensity, same task every day. But then comes into the picture a woman's cycle, which is a little bit more complex. So she also is rotating on her own axis. We also have our 24-hour sleep wake cycle, the circadian rhythm common with men, but she has another cycle. Think of the moon revolving around the earth, which takes 24 hours to complete. 20, sorry. Think of the moon revolving around the earth, which takes 28 days to complete, which means her hormonal cycle is 28 days. Her hormones reset every 28 days. And this constant rotation is bringing slight hormonal shifts that affects our energy, mood, and capacity. So biologically, a woman is different every day. So if you're wondering why, as a woman, you feel different each day, it's because you are cycling through the phases just like the moon is circling around the earth. And the earlier we understand this and align food, lifestyle, which includes our food, movement, and work, to these hormonal rhythms, the better we'll feel and the more ease with which we'll approach things, because we'll know exactly when to put more effort and when to retreat effort. And now we talk about embracing cyclical living. What is it? I'm sure by now you've heard me speak about it on Instagram and probably like other suggestions on your Instagram. If this is of your interest, cyclical living as a concept. Simply put, it is lifestyle activities or aligning lifestyle activities, nutrition with the natural rhythms of the body, specifically the menstrual cycle. What is this doing? It is helping us, or it is improving mental, emotional, and physical health. Because, like I said, we'll optimize our performance at certain times in the month and not feel guilty about not doing everything when we literally and physically cannot. Another example for you would on linear versus cyclical living is this. Okay. So linear living is following the same schedule daily. To give you an example on linear living, imagine a factory assembly line. It operates under the principle of constant unchanging output. The machine is expected to perform at a steady rate regardless of external or internal conditions. And this is reflective of how society often expects constant productivity from individuals without considering fluctuations in energy or health. Compare it to cyclical living, or compare cyclical living to a garden. A gardener does not expect flowers to bloom or fruits to ripen at the same rate all year round. They nurture the garden differently in spring, summer, autumn, and winter, understanding that each season has its own needs and yields. Now, giving a little bit of an understanding on cyclical and linear living, I'm actually going to ask you 12 questions. All of these questions have an answer of yes or no. Okay. So you write down your answer, you say one, you write one, and you write yes or no. Okay. And then you go on, because I'm not going to wait. I'm going to uh, uh, consecutively throw out the questions to you. Sorry, my brain is going into brain fog. Okay. Number one, in the week leading up to your period, do you feel like a puffer fish? Yes or no?
Yes.
Number two, in the week leading up to your period, do you feel like you want to snack more? Number three, in the week leading up to your period, do you not feel like yourself? Do you feel more anxious or irritable?
Yes.
Number four, now during your period, do you feel a need to withdraw socially and focus on self-care?
Very much.
Also, in the week of your period, do you experience a significant decrease in energy, making you want to rest more? Curl up,
False.
bed, watch Netflix.
Just let me sleep.
Number six, during your period, do you find yourself reflecting more on personal matters and decisions? Number
Yes.
seven,
Yes.
after your period ends, now period is over, okay? So after your period ends, do you notice an increase in your energy levels and motivation? Number
Okay.
eight, also after your period, do you feel more inclined to try new activities or start new projects? Number nine, do you find that your skin looks more clear and you feel physically more attractive during this time? Number 10, in the middle of your cycle, do you feel now, not just after your period, now this is in the middle of your cycle. Do you feel you're most social and communicative?
I've honestly not observed this.
Not observed. Okay, no problem. You can say not observed. Number 11, during this time, do you notice an increase in physical stamina or a desire to be more active, which is also in the middle of your cycle?
But yes, I'm usually active at the periods.
Also in the middle of your cycle, do you experience a heightened sense of smell or taste? Not observed. Okay, no problem. Okay, moving on. Before I get into the explanation of your menstrual cycle, I want to talk about how knowledge alone isn't power. So you can learn about cyclical living through workshops and presentations, but in order to actually live it, we have to do it. So, and for this very reason, I've condensed all the work that I do in one-on-one coaching sessions into a group format at a very accessible and economical price point. And there are spaces for 3 more women to join me. And I'm beginning on Saturday, this Saturday. Okay. I'll explain to you what it is that my work does or what I do. So I want you to think about how I'll help you achieve what you want to achieve through these three things. One is coaching, okay? Think about how successful business people will have business coaches or life coaches to help them prosper even more. Concept of a coach for your health would be to help you achieve all of your health goals, okay? Imagine having one in your web of support. And with me, a community or a sisterhood of like-minded women who will cheer you on and support you every step of the way. And then, of course, a part of the program is also nutrition with tailored meal guides to where you are in your cycle. So what foods you should be focusing on for the specific phase of your cycle, plus nutrition that will help you with, in your specific case, with the excess adrenal gland that is in overdrive, right? So food, it will always come back to your gut and your food, and food will play a very powerful role in how you help achieve your goals of how you want to feel better and how you want your life to unfold in front of you. And then the third and most important thing will be cycle tracking and understanding how to do this. And no, I don't mean using an app on your phone which will tell you, oh, you're ovulating or so on and so forth. Cycle tracking in a very literal sense, where I will teach you how to understand what cervical fluid and what it is that you are experiencing and what it tells you. I will also help you understand why your cycle is now ending at the 2-day mark and why your bleeding is not continuing post that. You will also get an understanding of how the moods that you're experiencing in each phase of your cycle and what they are telling you, or what your symptoms are telling you, and how to help yourself through nutrition in that phase or in that symptom. We're beginning next Saturday, and